Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Crystal Veronie, and I wanted to make you a little video and a little PowerPoint to introduce you to the syllabus because I won't be there on the first day of class, which is very rare for me. My daughter is starting at the University of Maine, and she's going to be traveling up all this week, and I will be flying out midweek to meet her in Maine to help her get settled into her dorm. And so it's exciting, and I didn't want to miss out on that. And but I'm also like torn because I hate missing the first day and being able to meet all of you in the classroom. But we will do that on Tuesday. So here is a little introduction to the syllabus to help get you started, get you thinking about what we'll be doing this semester, and just kind of introducing you to all the exciting, fun things that we'll be doing with literature. So to get started, I am going to make myself invisible for a minute because I really don't like to see myself. Okay, so I'll get to see myself again anyway. So I am Dr. Veronie. I have a PhD in 19th century British literature, secondary expertise in Native American literature, and I focus on early to mid-period women's writing in relation to the rise of empirical medicine. I was actually a nurse for 14 years and went back to school during that time, fell back in love with writing and literature, and ended up here with my PhD. This is my second year teaching full time. I've been teaching part time about 7 years, and then now, so about 9 years of teaching. So other things I'm interested in, of course, because I spent so much time as a nurse encountering people, talking to them about their bodies, I'm really interested in embodiment, which has to do with our subjective experience of being embodied, of having a body, and how that affects our identity. So I'm also interested in individual resistance, children's literature, and literary tourism. I had the opportunity of going this summer to Italy, so I may be throughout the semester including some photos from that trip. I'm really excited to get to know each of you, though. I'm sure that you're already more interesting than I am. So we'll do some of that on our first day next Tuesday. So a little description of the course, sometimes that can be helpful. Of course, you know what was in the course catalog, right? Which is that English 206 is a survey of English literature from 1800 to the present, and that we read and discuss works from the Romantic, Victorian, modern eras. I'm adding postmodern because so that's such a long period, right? Now from 1902, 01, 02, all the way to 2023. And the post 45 is really considered like the postmodern era. We'll talk more about where we're going from there. This section carries both the humanities and literature core curriculum designations, and I've listed those there for you. So as a humanities course, this course addresses the ability to deal with questions of values, ethics, or aesthetics, and it is represented in humanistic fields of learning. And then as a literature course, English 206 presents major intellectual and aesthetic ideas. We will explore multiple genres over broad historical and literary periods. So thinking more about the broad strokes of literature rather than the fine details. Additionally, this course includes substantial writing assignments to encourage the development of critical thinking skills. The next thing that's in the syllabus has to do with our learning outcomes. And I wanted to not just list these for you, but to put them in relation to the activities that we'll be doing. So one of the outcomes for the course is that students can produce a literary close reading that addresses the form and the content of one or more texts in the construction of an argument about the text's meaning. So many of you are already familiar with writing an essay, but close readings are kind of the evidence of a literary analysis essay. So we'll be more focused on that. And we're going to do that through many informal classroom writing activities that will help you to develop close reading skills. And you'll do this through annotating text, writing short close readings in class, often collaboratively with other people, giving oral reports. Those will be done over the course of the semester, and response essays, writing response essays. So the course culminates in a longer formal literary analysis essay, which is where you'll develop an argument about the text meaning, and that will also demonstrate to me that you've met this outcome. Some of the other outcomes we have to do with attaining a broad knowledge about different periods, like the Romantic, Victorian, and modern periods. So the course is divided into 4 units. The first focuses on Romanticism, the second, the Victorian age, the third, modern literature, and then, like I've mentioned, the fourth is the post-1945 literature. The next outcome is that students gain confidence and the ability to speak in a sophisticated and critical fashion about later British literature. And this is going to be covered with the oral report. What I'm calling shortly, and briefly, oral report is really an oral presentation and then a written report that you'll submit. So each student over the course of the semester, like basically almost every day, someone will be signed up to do an oral presentation. They'll present, and then they'll submit a brief report. This will be on any text that's written between 1800 and today. I'll have a list that's posted of approved text, but you're also able to approach me and see if there's a specific text that you would like to write about. These will be grouped into the Romanticism, of course, the Victorian era, the Modernism, and the post-1945. So the oral report, it offers you an opportunity to practice your critical thinking and public speaking, but it also allows you to broaden your the representation of literature in this course, and it offers you an opportunity to lead the class in exploring something additional that we would not have time to go into detail in the course of the semester, but you'll be able to give us a little bit more diverse representation. So the next one is that students will develop effective written communication skills. And of course, I'm doing this in a variety of ways. So one, Perusal offers a social reading tool that assists you to engage together with the text, because written communication is not necessarily in a vacuum. It's in response. It's still social. Writing is still social. Informal writing assignments and the 2 response essays are going to offer you opportunities to develop your written communication skills. And then the final essay offers you an opportunity to further develop those skills and then to demonstrate to me, finally, in that final essay, your written communication skills. And then students are going to be able to identify key concepts in the arts, sciences, and humanities to provide a broad perspective on human condition. So I'll have lectures that will include opportunities for us to explore like key concepts and developments in the arts, sciences, and humanities that are expressed through each of these literary periods. And then quizzes that reading quizzes are going to offer opportunities for you to demonstrate knowledge gained through those lectures, discussions, and other activities that are incorporated to reinforce learning. So to meet these outcomes, I have come up with a list of required texts. And I'm going to be honest with you, the list of books to purchase was created by someone who was planning apparently to teach this class, and then I've taken over. So I've decided to go along with it. It works for me, and I think that these are texts that you'll really enjoy. Not all of them am I the most familiar on. If there's something new, I will tell you that we'll kind of explore it together. I'll read it ahead of time and learn about it, but I also want us to be open to reading as an opportunity to explore and to examine new things. And I can help you to understand that better by, those broad sweeps of information that we're going to be covering on those periods. So knowing more context will help you as you encounter different texts that you just want to read, and teach you some skills on how to approach things that you're not familiar with. Most of our other readings are going to be located on Blackboard and Perusal. So you'll go, it says that in the class schedule, but you'll go on Blackboard Learning or Perusal and read those texts. These are just the ones that you need to purchase. And if you would, purchase the editions that are listed in the syllabus. So Perusal, a little bit more about it. If you're not familiar, it's a social annotation tool. It allows you to engage with the text simultaneously with your peers. To sign up, this is outside of Blackboard. So to sign up, you need to navigate to perusal.com and click on Get Started. Just follow the prompts in it, and one of those will be for you to give the class code that's in the syllabus. I mean, it's really that easy. You'll be connected with my course. You'll show up in my course roster, and you'll be able to see the readings that are assigned for the first full week of class. So, which is, I think, listed as week 2. So you'll see that. You'll see the assignment, and we'll look at an example together. Make sure that everyone feels comfortable using Perusal. So other required materials for our class, in addition to your Perusal account, you're expected to have access to reliable internet. You're going to use Blackboard Learn for a variety of class activities, including quizzes, submitting informal assignments that we do in class, and submitting your formal essays. And I'll also provide announcements there. So that's a good place for you to go every day, check for any announcements or messages from me. And then you're expected to submit your work typed, right? So you need a word processor. Ideally, you'll want to submit your work in MS Word format. That's my preference. I also accept Google Docs. And then I restrict submissions to docx, or PDF formats. Those work best for me for grading. And so you'll find that when you submit something to Turnitin, it has particular restrictions as well on there. So things like pages, you might want to be careful. You might have to convert it to a PDF before you submit it. Also, it's helpful to know that, like, I have Safari on my Mac, but Chrome and Firefox work better with Blackboard, so I'll be using Chrome. Turnitin doesn't even work with Safari, so you should be prepared to use Chrome and Firefox and browsers. So you might want to download this if you haven't already. I also recommend keeping a reading journal, either a paper one or kind of dedicating a folder on your desktop for electronic notes. Like if you're keeping up with your annotations electronically, however you're doing that, I want to see something organized so that at any time I ask to see your annotations, you can put your finger on that very quickly. So it's also your responsibility to back up your work. So I really do not like to accept any kind of excuse like, well, I was working really hard on that last night, but my computer crashed. You should be mature enough now to be using flash drives or just simply emailing your work to yourself through Google. It serves as a backup in case your computer crashes. So, and then if you're using Google Docs, it should still be there. You should still be able to access your work. The grading scale is listed here for you. And then the major grades that I have established for this course are going to be Perusal reading assignments. That's 20% of your grade. I like to give a big fat number to that because there's a lot of work that goes into Perusal. Reading quizzes. These quizzes show accountability, that you've been keeping up with your readings, and they'll go across the whole semester. That's 20%. 2 reading response essays. These are 10 points each. So that's 20%. Your oral presentation report is 15%. A midterm is 10, and it's mandatory. You can't skip that. And then the final essay is 15%. So the grand total of 100%. So when we're looking at the grading of Perusal, I want you to know that I will post 14 opportunities. So there will be 14 assignments in Perusal, but you only need to complete 10 because the lowest 4 Perusal grades will be dropped. Now I encourage you to just do them all, right? Especially if you find that you're not hitting your maximum of 5 points every time. You might want to get some extras in. But no excuses are going to be accepted for those missed perusal readings. I'm just going to assume that's the 4 that you would want dropped. So some tips. With perusal, there's more than one way to reach 100%. You can receive credit for commenting, for engaging, responding to other people, voting, correctly answering quiz questions inside the perusal assignment. And I recommend that you spread your comments out throughout the text because you can be penalized for posting all of your comments in one area. Perusal ranks your comments as low, medium, or high quality. So if you post 8 high quality posts, you should be able to meet that. I think it's 80% is what I have it set up. You should be able to meet that every time, right? But if you're posting very short, mostly opinion or mostly just a response to someone else type of comments, then those are not going to reach that high quality. You may have to do many more than just 8. So just know that that's like one of the things to keep in mind. And then for some other tips, read the directions. I've posted like lengthy directions for the perusal assignments and read in there. And I'll try to give you some suggestions for improving your perusal grades as I'm putting in grades. So there are the reading quizzes. I don't have any extras put in there. You have 10 reading quizzes to complete in Blackboard. The questions will be multiple choice, fill in the blank, true, false, or short answer. Missed quizzes cannot be made up. The purpose of these quizzes is to promote accountability and set you up for success. And I've given you plenty of notification that we'll be having a quiz. So if you need to make arrangements to take your quiz with like student services, you'll have plenty of time to do that. So the 2 reading response essays this semester, they're each worth 10 points, which ends up being 20% of your grade for the course. They're approximately 500 words, so pretty short assignments. They're 2 double space pages. I want a heading on there. They should be on text in different time periods, so you wouldn't write 2 response essays on the same text or even in the same period. For example, the first might be on a piece of literature in the Romantic period, and then your second might be on a piece of literature in the post-45 period. So you may want to pick out a text that you're interested in reading. It may be a little longer, like a novel or something, in that post-45 period. And you may want to start on it early in the semester so you have plenty of time to read the entire thing. If you choose a text in that post-45, know that you need to plan to read it early because the second reading response is going to be due on the 16th of November. So that's only like the second week of that post-45 section. So just know that you'll need to get a jump on that, especially if you're wanting to read a little bit longer novel for that project. To receive full credit, you need to post your full-length response essay to Blackboard by the date and time it's due. That's really crucial because I'll be deducting 5 points off of a 10-point assignment. So no reading response is going to be accepted more than 48 hours after it was due. We'll have a midterm exam, and that's worth 10%. And really important is that it's mandatory. So you'll get a 0 if you don't attend the midterm exam. That could really hurt your grade. So you don't want that to happen. So go ahead and put it on your calendar that the midterm exam is going to be October the 5th, and attendance is mandatory. And then plan to be there for the review on the 3rd, right? So because we'll cover all the questions on the midterm. We're going to cover everything that you need to do well on that midterm exam. We're going to cover that on the 3rd, so you definitely want to be there for that. And then you'll have a final essay, which is a literary analysis essay of 5 to 6 type pages. It's a formal paper, and it makes an argument about one of the literary elements in relation to the socio-historical context of the period. So it must be on one of the longer texts we've read in this class. You'll need it to be a little longer so that you'll have more to write about in that 5 to 6 pages. Some examples is that you could write on the history of Mary Prince or Wuthering Heights. So we're reading that over a good length of time. The Lifted Veil, which is a novella. It's not super long. It's really fascinating. And I've read it several times, so you're welcome to talk to me about it. Alternatively, you may ask permission to extend your exploration of a text from your oral presentation report. So whatever you were researching already on that oral presentation report, you may want to expand it on to bring in an essay that's going to be in a work that's kind of outside of what we're reading in class. Some people like to do that because maybe they feel like we've picked it apart in class and that makes it less fun. It just depends. That really depends on your personality and how you approach essays, and we can definitely talk more. But for many of you, you'll want to choose something that we've read in class because we've discussed it, and that's perfectly fine too. The final essay will be due on the 8th of December, and I'm setting that date so that we have a tiny little bit of buffer for those people who might need that between the 8th, the end of our classes, and the final exam, which will be the 14th. It doesn't give me a lot of room to work with people who may be having a crisis at that time. So let's set that our goal to be to have our papers written by the 8th. And of course, if you have any questions about the syllabus, you can reach out to me at my email. I'm happy to respond to email, so no issues with that. Don't feel bad. Just send me a nice email. It's also good practice and email etiquette. My office hours are Monday and Wednesday from 2 to 2:50. I'll be in Rowan Johnson, room 205. Rowan Johnson is the building next door to Tempura. So it's right in that same area with the English building. So you may just walk into my office during my office hours. I'll also be there before my classes start on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm kind of gauging 11:45 to 12:15. But if I'm in my office, you're welcome to come and see me. I have no problem meeting you. You can email me for an alternate time, or if that location is really uncomfortable for you, we could choose to meet someplace else, like we could meet at the library. So just let me know and we'll find a time and a location that's mutually acceptable to both of us. Well, I've enjoyed talking to you. Please take a look at the class schedule. I've listed the readings for this class in there, and they're due on the date listed for discussion. So you'll notice that in perusal, I've set it up so that you can continue to add to your perusal for 5 days. So even though I want you to have it read for, and some of your annotations done for class so that you're ready to discuss it, know that you'll still have time to go and finish the perusal to get a better grade, okay? With the exception of those texts that are required for purchase, all the readings are going to be on Blackboard and perusal. So you're responsible for having your annotations in class. For those purchase texts on the day of discussion, there wouldn't be a perusal necessarily for those. So preparation for class. Attendance and being prepared is really key to the success of our classroom community. I see myself as more of a facilitator of the classroom. I kind of bring us all together. I come up with, some interesting things for us to do, but the energy and excitement, that really requires you. So you have to be there and you have to be ready, and that really helps because the course is built on cooperative dialogue between the different members of this community. You'll see that I use a lot of collaboration to try to help to build some excitement in the class. Sometimes our classes can be really noisy, and that doesn't bother me. It means that you're talking to each other about the text and you're really engaging. So you shouldn't expect to sit in your chair quietly for extensive lectures and note taking. I'm not interested in that at all. I will post material, maybe background context on Blackboard for you to read as prep for our classes. And then you'll do your perusals and all of that. And class time will actually be used for active learning. So we'll be doing a lot of group discussions, informal writing, collaborative writing, and we will probably be bringing in some extra things like dramatic recitation and other creative activities. So, this will often mean that you're going to work in groups of Google Docs with questions that I've come up with, or maybe you're coming up with the questions. And then electing a leader to share highlights from your discussion. Some of those will be like that. Other times we may be doing some kind of polling activity or working with Padlets. And then we may be coming up with something that's completely creative with our text, especially some of these things like the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. These things work very well for dramatic recitation. We plan to get creative with our active learning time. Our classroom environment is what we make of it, right? The platinum rule is what I go by, which is treat others the way they want to be treated. And this means respecting diversity. When we talk about diversity, we're talking about how each of us has different backgrounds, different experiences that, and different things that have shaped our identities. And we bring that to class with us because we already have lots of knowledge. I didn't think that, you're coming to me like a blank slate. Many of you have been exposed to lots of the things we're going to be talking about. Aesthetic ideas from the Romantic period through today. And so we're going to have lots of different experiences that we can share with each other. Many of you will find that you have different abilities, that things that you're strong in that maybe somebody else isn't, or maybe things that you're weak in, and learning from someone else is something that's very helpful to you. So it's really important in order for us to develop and cultivate that respect, for us to demonstrate that in certain ways. And one of those ways that we will demonstrate that is by using the pronouns for someone. So pronouns are not a preference in my class. It's basic respect to refer to someone by their pronouns. So that will be something that we'll kind of establish at the beginning of class. I try not to make a huge deal about it. We are all still learning. Some of us will make mistakes. I'm not really talking about accidental mistakes, but certainly I shouldn't hear anyone like intentionally mispronouncing somebody. That's really not cool. That's really disrespectful. So instead, I want you to listen carefully, engage with your peers, and offer your viewpoints. Open up and talk to one another. Please report anything that's said or done in the classroom, including my own, I make mistakes too. So please let me know if I do something that prevents you or anyone else from fully engaging in this course. That's really important to me. I welcome the use of technology in my classroom. And I do that openly. And I think that it's really important because using digital tools is what creates literacy with those tools. However, I have a few caveats with that. So using a laptop or tablet in class, please stay focused on our classwork. I don't want to see you doing work for other classes. I do get it. Like maybe you have something to do in science and you didn't get it done, and it's right after my class and it feels pressing, but you need to plan better. The work that we're doing in our class is real work. It's active learning and you need to be present for it. So please do not do work for other classes in mine. And as a professional courtesy, do not play on your cell phone. I'm okay with your phone being on vibrate. Maybe you have something that you're worried about and you just need to know. So you just need it to vibrate. I'm okay with that. Try not to leave it on top of your desk where it vibrates there and disrupts class. But as long as it's discreet, I'm okay with that. But don't pull it out and keep texting people because, cell phone use is kind of like eating candy. If someone sees you doing it, then everyone wants to do it, right? And so it becomes harder for us to refrain from looking at our phones or texting or, just touching our phones in general. So just try to keep your phone discreet. Usually you won't need it in class unless I'm asking you to do some polling, or if you need it, like if you're using it particularly to read, that would be fine. I just don't want you to have it out playing with it. So this is for those very rare times that the professor is late for class. So I tend to be a very prompt person. So I imagine that the circumstances that I could be late would be very rare, but I've included this here because I am new to Tuscaloosa. I am new to the traffic. And things do happen, like car accidents, anything that could prevent you from getting, to campus at a decent time. So, if something were to happen and I was late for class, I want you to check your email and see if I sent out a message regarding my lateness. Maybe I've like to let you know that I'm sick, that maybe I have COVID or something and I can't make it to class. That would be good to know. And then per university policy, students should wait for a professor for a minimum of 15 minutes. I have a PhD and I do expect you to give me this professional courtesy, unless I have sent you an email telling you otherwise. But I would appreciate you waiting for me because usually I can't imagine why I would be late for class. If something were to happen and I were to be late for class or I didn't show up in that 15 minutes, then what you need to do is to follow up after class on Blackboard because I will be posting further information, directions, maybe something that I plan to share with you in class that day that we weren't able to get to, or maybe something I need you to do so that our class can stay on track. Okay, so please, follow those steps. Guys, I know that academic misconduct happens, and on this first day of class, everyone talks to you about it. Just know that academic misconduct, it will not be tolerated by me. I'm not tolerant about this, especially anything that's intentional. Unintentional, like patch writing, things that happen because you're insecure about your writing, I can help you through those things. But if you're intentionally trying to do something to cheat, then know that I won't tolerate it at all. There is a link posted in the syllabus, an active link for the misconduct policy. You need to read it because it's serious. The use of text generating AI in this class is strictly forbidden. I have no intentions of us working with AI in this class, and the rules say that you can't use AI unless you're being guided by your instructor to do so. So I'm telling you, it's strictly forbidden. All the course essays, including the 2 response essays, the oral report, and the final essay are going to be submitted through turnitin.com, which will help you to see how, it'll pick up on anything that's been repeated. So it'll help keep you within the guidelines so that you're not getting into academic misconduct. But please, if you're having a struggle, you're feeling insecure about your writing, please just come to me because I can help you get through that. It's something that many of us have gone through, and I've gone through myself. So please just come and talk to me about it. And of course, before I end the syllabus, I want to acknowledge the land and the labor that's been done by others. And I think this is really important. It's something that's very close to my heart. Of course, my secondary expertise is in Native American literature. So I want to say that I honor this stolen land and the labor of those who came before us, both indigenous and enslaved people, which allows us to learn here at the University of Alabama. And I respectfully acknowledge the Porch Creek and Mississippi and Bowa bands of Choctaw, who occupied this land and whose history, along with the Chickasaw, Cherokee, Homa, and other indigenous peoples, are integrally tied to this land. Mine is actually a little bit longer than what's posted here, so I'm going to read a little bit more for you. So this is me. I aspire to honor and respect the peoples who colonizers forcibly removed from this territory and recognize the continued sovereignty of the Creek and Choctaw nations who remain present on and with this land. And I hope that you will join me in that. And I strive to give restitution to the genocide perpetrated against Indigenous peoples by incorporating Indigenous knowledge in my work, working to establish meaningful connections with Indigenous peoples and communities, and contributing financially to Indigenous-led organizations. Additionally, I respectfully acknowledge the invisible lives and labor of enslaved peoples whose exploited labor built many higher education institutions, including the University of Alabama. And I recognize the perpetuation of systems of exploitation today. So may our efforts in this classroom continue to kindle those who work for social justice and equity. If you are a person who's interested in the English major or minor, please look at the end of that syllabus before the class calendar because I've put some information in there, and I'm happy for you to talk to me about it or to reach out to any of the emails that I've included there. And of course, if you'll look at the class calendar, it's subject to change, but any changes I make, I will post to Blackboard and I will let us know in class as well. So you'll notice that I've listed the important dates, the perusal reading assignments, and reading quizzes so that you can plan those out on your calendar. And then when we come back together on Tuesday, August the 29th, that'll be your first time meeting me in person and meeting each other. I want you to have already completed the syllabus quiz online on Blackboard. Select a text from that approved list for the oral presentation and report assignment. You should be able to sign up for it on the Google form that I've posted, and then and be sure to note the date that you've selected for the presentation, and then have read the first readings. I've already got those posted for perusal number 1 on the perusal site and on Blackboard. They're going to be To Allows by Robert Burns, To the Shade of Burns, To Sleep and Written on the Seashore by Charlotte Smith. And we'll be talking about proto-romanticism, the French Revolution, folk culture, and nature, how nature reflects mood and how that influenced the Romantics. So I look forward to seeing y'all on Tuesday, August the 29th. And let me know, email me if you have any questions about the syllabus. Thank you very much.